money is going to be the big driver, and everybody wants money. And if I may just mention this in the Jared Huffman story I just published, um, we're waiting for the third quarter figures to come out. But so I based my story on the 1 year plus 2 quarters up through June 30th. The new figures will be out this month, and I'm going to update the story for 3 quarters of this year. But um, looking over Huffman's record, he's able to raise about $1 million every election season, every 2 year cycle. He can raise about $1 million, and he doesn't need it. He doesn't need $1 million to win. So he spends it as best he can. He spends it on the things you'd spend it on, but he's got money left over. So he sends money to other campaigns. So this year he gave money to both Barbara Lee and Adam Schiff in the California's U.S. Senate race. They're in a primary to replace Dianne Feinstein. And there were, I think, 3 Democrats that were running in the primary in March to replace Dianne Feinstein. And Huffman gave money to 2 of the 3. I don't know, hedging his bets or whatever. But I mean, Adam Schiff won the primary, and he's the guy that's on the ballot now. Adam Schiff has raised millions. He doesn't need Huffman's 1,000. So I'm not clear on exactly why candidates shift money to other people's campaigns. I don't know if they do it because they've been told that so-and-so needs it, or they feel it'll grease a wheel that they want greased, or they're paying back a favor that they got. I don't know exactly how it works. No one really wants to talk to me about this, but what I'm saying is there's so much money that Huffman was able to give away 50,000 to other candidates. And then there's still money left over, and that's called cash on hand. He's got $1 million of cash on hand, I guess, to roll over to the next 2 year cycle in case something blows up. It's mad money. In case something crazy happens and he's got to spend a ton of money, he's got some in reserve. I don't know, but all of them have this.
Well, that seems a little crazy that you can just roll over money someone has donated for you and for your campaign. If I give money to Jared Huffman, maybe I'm not supportive of Adam Schiff. And now the money that I've donated to you is now going to that campaign.
I would say the implication is that, well, if you gave the money to Jared, you trust him to give the money to whoever needs it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? But this happens, in campaigns do it all the time. There's just so much money out there. It's almost like Hurricane Milton. It's like, what are we going to do with all this water? How are we going to? So they're awash in cash. And what I kind of indicate in the Jared Huffman reelection Juggernaut story is that some of these expenses kind of look like a member of Congress has a little perfectly legal slush fund to sort of, live a little larger than you otherwise would, because, hey, it's money that got to be spent, somehow. So I know, let's have a campaign event up at the Klamath River and we'll go fishing. And so Jared Huffman does an annual fishing expedition, fly fishing expedition, different places. But and I asked the campaign, well, just tell me a little bit more about that. Why is it a fundraising event to take a bunch of people fishing? Or indeed, if you are taking a bunch of people fishing, I don't know. All I've got are numbers. And the answer was none of your business. Basically, we want to respect the privacy of our donors, so we're not going to tell you what we did. But they spent, I don't know, $15,000 going fishing this year.
Well, and that's an important aspect, is you're courting donors in this. You're not taking Bill from small town wherever who gave you $5, right? You're taking someone who has the potential to give you tens of thousands of dollars.
I would guess, yeah. But you would have a certain class of donor and then of course you can only take so much from a donor. So there are limits, and so a lot of campaigns you'll find records of how they refunded contributions because the people were so enthusiastic about sending in another check that they actually went over the limit. You got to return it because they can only give so much as an individual. The way they've worked around that is to create these PACs and 527 committees or whatever that have nothing to do with the campaign and are not coordinating in any way, but they might support a candidate based upon an issue or a party affiliation or whatever. There's a movie I saw recently. I don't know if you ever saw this movie. It's called Irresistible. It was made a few years ago, I think 2016, right after Hillary lost, and it stars Steve Carroll as a political consultant. Called Irresistible. If you have a chance to see it, it's pretty funny. But
Oh, I think I did see that. He's working on a campaign
yeah,
against his ex-wife, who's also doing a campaign.
Chris Cooper plays this good old Marine out there in farmland, Wisconsin. You know that he's going to help run for mayor of this little dinky town, and all this attention gets put on it, and all the cameras are coming in from all over the country, and it's kind of based on a special election in Georgia that this actually happened, where it was kind of a small election, but somebody figured out it was really important to the parties, and so millions and millions were spent on it. And so, anyway, I thought it was a pretty funny look at what really happens. At least it routinely happens at the congressional level. It routinely happens, I think, maybe at the state house level in some states, like especially like in California, where you've got a lot of money and full-time legislators. I lived in Colorado for 18 years, and the Colorado legislature is part-time. You know, you go up there for like 6 months and you go home. It's like it used like back in the 1789 where your Congress meets and then you go back to the farm or whatever. It's not your job. But now we have people who have jobs in government and jobs being elected officials, and they hire staff. So, for instance, little Jared Huffman, who's by most counts a very modest member of Congress, he only raises $1 million an election cycle. That's not much. He's not lavish in some in his own campaign. Says, well, look, we didn't do junkets to the Super Bowl. We took people fishing. So I mean, he's kind of a little guy, uh, and he's raising only about $1 million, and 6,000 a month goes to his campaign manager, and 3,500 a month goes to a fundraiser in D.C. who puts on fundraisers in D.C. for donors in D.C. And there's even in this movie I mentioned, Irresistible, there's even a scene where they take Chris Cooper's good old Marine guy, Colonel, out to D.C. to do a little fundraising at a house party. So this goes on all the time, house parties and Beltway extravaganzas and galas and stuff, and all the donors come out. So he's given this guy, this DC fundraiser, 3,500 a month for years to raise money, and I calculated that based upon the data that I had, 60% of the funds raised pay fundraisers.
Yeah.